I am Feel It.
And I am Fix It. And we talk about life.
And stuff and things.
With the occasional rant.
Which you will have no problem doing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever it is, wherever it is. Hope you're having a good one.
Yes. And if you'd like a glimpse at the silly that we're already at, as I was just being corrected doing the mic check. I said, Luke, I am your father, and that weird voice, and it turned into a whole nerd rabbit hole. That I was saying the wrong thing. Well, so no, that's where we are. We haven't even started recording.
It's not just you. Everybody says that. But if you watch the movie, he doesn't actually say that. Now the question is it everybody remembering incorrectly, or is it another example of the Mandela effect?
Oh my goodness. Please explain. What is the Mandela effect?
Well, it got its name after Nelson Mandela, where at one point everybody believed that Nelson Mandela was dead, and then he was released from prison. And it was like, wait a sec, didn't he die like 20 years ago? And like, I swear I heard that he died 20 years ago. And one of the theories is that we jumped into an alternate reality, and those little things that we all collectively remember wrong are things that are only wrong in this version of reality.
Okay, we gotta stop. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Like everybody remembers the Monopoly guy having a monocle, but the Monopoly guy doesn't have a monocle.
No, it's Mr. Peanut.
That's Mr. Peanut. There's a lot of there's a lot of little examples like that.
Can't say I've
movies
heard of the Mandela effect, and though I understand the premise you're talking about, but okay, we're gonna stop there and come back out of the nerd rabbit hole, and that just gives a glimpse to where we already are. I will say now that if you've heard the last episode, I wasn't feeling all that great, so I probably sounded kind of snippy and icky. And today I'm just a lot of ugh. The weather is gross, and I'm over humidity, and just trying to take a walk this morning really knocked me down. But that's where we are.
It was very sticky this morning.
It's so gross. Yeah. Yes.
Thankfully, it wasn't hot yet, but it was definitely sticky. And it's been a couple of weeks since we recorded the last episode, so we're actually kind of behind our own personal schedules, but
sort of.
That's on us.
I know, right?
Well,
it happened.
We did some traveling, and we did some visiting and life and stuff and things.
And things. And then I don't know, I've had the up and down, the icky roller coaster.
Yeah.
And so have you for yourself and where your head's been, not necessarily physically, but
yes.
Yeah. I said, no, we got to do this. We got to come back around. So here we are. And very recently, I have gotten my license, and I am a licensed professional counselor. So that also had to take me out in a mindset to prepare to begin practicing.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I have about a week before I'll be able to do that. But
there's a lot of things going on in the background that we got to figure out and make happen. But, it's moving forward. It's good things.
Yes.
A little chaos, but
a little here and there.
It's still good things.
So, now we're back to it. And it is a part two of where we were.
Yes. Wisdom of Age Part 2.
Yes. And this was you going through
my list.
I don't know if we ever got to like a one-word agreement on what we were referring to it as.
I put on the original post 12 idioms.
Idioms. There we
Yes.
go. Idioms.
And then after the first 12, I realized, well, here's some more if you're interested. And I added another 12 and a bonus, which made it 25. And in that post, it's like, yeah, there's more, but they're less general, I guess. So I didn't bother with those.
So we're now finishing your list.
We'll see.
Okay, well, I read it. We've talked about it.
Yes.
It's not in front of me in the moment, so I'm going at this just responding to you.
Yes. Well, we've discussed them and we've disagreed on certain points.
Sure.
And that's fine.
What? No, we don't ever disagree.
Hey, you can be wrong. It's okay. I love you anyway.
Oh my gosh. This ought to be good. Okay.
Okay.
I'm
right.
ready.
Anyway.
I don't know if you're going to get me more ready.
Well, it is what it is.
You want the full disclosure, right? This is where we are because it's just never ending. I think I have I think it's another vein situation going on with my right leg. This will be my third procedure in 6 years on my right leg, and I've had one on my left. That was 2020, but I haven't had a procedure. Both of them were November 2020.
Mm-hmm. Those are freaky.
Or second on my right leg,
those
or my left
freaky,
leg.
yeah.
Sorry, because I did have both legs in
Yeah, they put the
2020.
needle in, they give a little squirt of stuff, and suddenly the vein disappears. It was weird looking.
So, it's I don't know how hot out, gross. And I'm in my dress and in my little knee-high stocking, and I got my foot propped up, and I'm just in my place, and I'm getting warm already. Sitting here in an air-conditioned room because I just can't stand extra and the sun coming in, and just in my own little weird place. So I will be respectful. I will be respectful. I am respectful.
Sure.
And I know that I know I'm right, even when you think I'm wrong. So it's all good. That's just where we're.
Like I said, you can be wrong. It's allowed.
But, the beauty of medicine, I get to wait, I don't know, a month and a half for an appointment. So I'll just rock it out so I can keep exercising because that's all I got. That's all I got.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's what I have.
Keep stuff moving.
Yup. So as I'm sitting here kind of recovering from all that, we're going to try to have a serious, in-depth conversation about your wisdom.
Well, yeah.
I don't know how serious.
Yeah, well, if it's too serious, it wouldn't be us.
For sure.
Yep. If we don't throw some goofy humor in there, just...
That's true.
It's not life.
I don't think we've gotten by on just serious. Okay, I'm ready. Now for reals.
No, if we stayed in serious, I don't think either one of us would have lasted this long.
No.
No. Not at all. Anyway,
Agreed.
Anyway, back to the list.
Ready.
Okay, so...
what number are we on?
Number 9.
Oh, goodness.
We finished number 9. And as a recap... that was when you put on clean clothes and jump in the mud, you don't make the mud cleaner.
Did you want to recap what the rest of them were?
Just
the last one.
Just where we left off. Because if you want to know the first 9,
Listen
the
to
other
previous
episode is up.
Got it.
That'd be episode 14. Feel free to listen.
Okay.
And, and comment and email us. It's in our description. I would love to hear comments.
Absolutely.
Legitimately, I would love to hear comments. I like other viewpoints.
Can I have a squirrel moment?
Sure. I just had one.
Did I remember to mention? I want to say that I did. A few episodes back, the trigeminal neuralgia conversation that we were having, that there was somebody I'd met locally who had a YouTube video. Did I remember to mention that has been taken down?
I don't think it got mentioned that video was taken down. We mentioned we would try to put it in the description.
Yes.
And then we found the original link that we had, and it's no longer valid, and then we couldn't find the new video elsewhere. So.
I didn't get confirmation if there was or wasn't a different video, but I know the one that I was given, I did talk about self-harm. I know why it was taken down, because she was very candid about the suicide attempt, and
the annoying part.
And there were some photos from when she was in the hospital
Sure.
that were graphic, and I'm 99.9% sure, though I have not reached out to her to ask her.
Yeah, but under the title of documentaries, you can find things with murder and dead bodies and all kinds of stuff on YouTube, and they don't care about that. And this was a documentary, so I'm kind of wondering if possibly somebody had a copyright claim.
Something
more than
I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't verify.
We can't even,
I did not reach out. I'm throwing that out there. That I know we mentioned we'd post the link, and then we didn't. And then I couldn't remember, hey, did we say why we didn't? That's why we didn't. So
I don't think so.
There's that explanation. But I apologize. Now I'm done having my neurodivergent moment.
We truly had every intention of putting it out there so people could learn more. And unfortunately, it's not available.
It was quite graphic. She did discuss her troubles, her mental health troubles, and then the suicide attempt. And I knew that there were graphic photos. But
if we come across it,
we will mention it.
Well, happily is the wrong word, but we will share.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely share.
Now,
knowledge is important.
Coming back off. Okay. Done.
So,
you're number 10.
Number 10. Okay. This one I actually had to use with a friend of mine a little while back. It didn't go well, but he understood. Anyway, number 10. There is always a reason, but there is never an excuse. So if you're doing the wrong thing, there's always a reason for it. There's a reason why people lie. There's a reason why people steal. There's a reason why people cheat. And there's a reason why people hurt other people. And though all of those reasons are likely valid in their own right, it's not an excuse. Just because you have a valid reason doesn't necessarily mean you have a valid excuse for doing it. So if you hurt somebody else for your own benefit, that's not. There's a reason. That's not an excuse. You're still doing the wrong thing. Just because you have a reason to do the wrong thing, still the wrong thing.
Understood. Yes, that's what I have said before to clients and friends. There's a reason for the reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Conscious, subconscious, there's still something.
Yeah, there's
a driving force.
Yes. Well, and there is always a risk when you ask somebody to be honest and ask a question they don't want to answer. Like, okay. Well, yes, okay, yeah. He didn't necessarily like that when I told him that. It's like, hey, there's a reason. It's not an excuse. But if you understand the like, especially in relationships, there's a past involved, and past hurts, and past traumas, and past experiences that color your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And those are, like, if you had an abuse, like talking to you, if you had an abusive boyfriend in your history, and then you treat me as if I am also going to be like that, that would mean you're going to act defensively, potentially violently, in defense of something that isn't there. There's a reason for that. It's not necessarily an excuse. But at the same time, I need to understand that reason to the best of my ability and help you overcome. Because that's what a relationship is for, is helping each other through life.
Yeah, any relationship.
All relationships. It's like, if you can understand it, just like coping skills, coping mechanisms, poor coping skills and poor coping mechanisms, because there's a big difference. But as you know, there's a huge difference between healthy coping mechanisms and unhealthy coping mechanisms. Both of them will get you through to the other side, but only one of them will lead you down a better path for the future.
Yes.
Yeah. And
can we stop there? Let's have another semi-squirrel moment. And I've said this in the past, I'll just reiterate again. Licensed or not, which now I am, it doesn't mean that this is supposed to be like a psychoeducational podcast. That's not entirely what it was. Yeah, there's some things that'll come out of my mouth that will be more professional sounding than others and rooted in my knowledge. However, this is more for me to be a person. Mm-hmm. And that's where they collide. There is the overlap
Oh, yes. Well,
for all I have been through and am going through, and then connecting my own dots. So
yeah, and there's you acting in a professional capacity, and then you speaking as yourself as a person who's educated.
yes,
It's like it's impossible to completely separate the two.
it is impossible. Yes.
But
I was warned, that along the way you're not going to be able to continually
No.
segregate when you
No.
have conversations with your loved ones. Even the stuff's going to come
Yes.
out of your mouth, and you're
Well,
not going to be able to not diagnose and dissect. And
it's kind of like me. It doesn't matter where I go, I end up fixing stuff.
yeah, oh no, that's been your thing for a minute.
Yeah.
So
It's like that's my version of it. It's like I can't tell you the last place I've been somewhere where something didn't get fixed.
So even as you were, I mean, I have all kinds of things flying through my mind, but even as you're speaking, and then you said, as you well know, yes, I do know. I'm just not going to go into all the nuances because this is your list.
Sure.
And we could talk for hours about that one thing. It is the reasons for the reasons.
Yes. Again, that isn't to say that those reasons are legitimate excuses.
No, if
your reason for leaving a relationship is they're mistreating you, treating you poorly, mentally, psychologically, physiologically, emotionally abusing you, and that you don't need an excuse. You have a reason.
Just tend to get caught up. Sometimes people can get caught up.
Yes, but people tend to focus more on the external than the internal, I guess.
Well, it's easier to grab an excuse than to face
it's
the truth.
Easier to put all the blame on somebody else and admit that you've got some stuff.
Of course.
That you need to work on. I almost let that one go. Admittedly, I haven't used the giggle in a while, so it would have been fun. However.
I don't know, it might happen. Okay,
this one is... Okay, number 11. This one definitely was I was in a place when I listed this one. Still am. And just because I was in a place doesn't mean it isn't something I've believed for a long time. It's like, okay, number 11. If you betray a person I trust, even if the person you betrayed is yourself, you betrayed me as well. And
that's deep.
Sure. And I don't necessarily mean actively betrayed. I mean it more in the regard that you actively betrayed who you were to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Again, quoting Jordan. I do it, or paraphrasing Jordan.
Dr. Peterson.
Yes, Dr. Peterson. It's like, you know what I mean. Anyway, if you've listened to this, any episode of us, you know who I mean. There was a lecture of his from quite a while ago where he was talking about betrayal. And he said one of the reasons why betrayal is so damaging is you have an individual that's in your life that's in a position where they can cause you harm. You have interacted with them, and you have built up this model of who they are in your head. The do's and don'ts, the likes, you've built up this model of who they are that allows you to interact with them. And when they betray that model gets destroyed. But in that process of building that model, you built all of these other little mechanisms and models in your mind of dealing with them, dealing with the people around them, how you deal with other people based on what you've learned from interacting with them. And all of that gets thrown into disarray. And then on top of that, you have to question yourself. It's like, okay, I thought I was a good judge of character, and this person that I trusted and relied on and believed in proved that I'm not. So now I have to reanalyze my perception of everybody that's around me. Because if I missed it in this person, then I could have missed it in everybody else. And it completely throws your world into disarray.
That is the common reaction, yes. We have a hard time segregating that it's the one person, right? And I do it too.
But at the same time,
it too.
Well, but at the same time, you kind of have to question that. It's like, if I missed it. Again, this more recent situation, an individual who we believed to be someone he turned out to not be. And you have to sit back, and everybody is standing back and going, how did we miss that? How can we make it not miss it in the future? It's like all of these people are hurt. How do we help them, and how do we assure them and actually move forward in a way that avoids the situation in the future? It's like it's hundreds of people that have been affected by one person who betrayed who they presented themselves to be. So, like, betrayal's a big deal.
It is.
I've had friends in my life that were very, very flaky. And strange and weird and just, in a lot of ways they weren't steadfast in many aspects of their life. But they were excruciatingly consistent in their inconsistency.
So
So the inconsistency is the characteristic that I understand. The model I have built of them in my mind contains that inconsistency. If you're a drama addict, then I just assume that every interaction with you and around you is going to, at some point, devolve into drama. That is part of my model of who you are. And you continuing that drama, it's like, I don't consider that a betrayal. That's just you being you. Now, the people that you hurt in the process, they might have other issues. They can feel betrayed. It's like, but you didn't betray who you are to me because you acted very consistently with who you are. If that makes sense. So certain people's behavior, say, my best friend growing up, he was a piece of work. Love the guy to death. If he called right now, I'd hop in the car and drive. It's like I haven't talked to him in years, and I don't care. If he called right now, I'd hop in the car. What do you need? It's like, I'm on my way. Where are you, and what do you need? But he went through women in a way that is deplorable, to be honest. And he let them know up front exactly what you can expect from him. Like, he left no one with any delusions that he wasn't just a kind of a man whore.
Yeah.
Yeah. From somebody else, I wouldn't tolerate that behavior. Except he was grossly honest about it. He was consistent in that he was never going to be a consistent partner. So when he moved from one to the next, it's like, yeah, that's exactly what he said he was going to do. That's like exactly who he is. Why him and I were like best buds growing up, I still have no idea how that worked, but it did. We had a great time together. Because that was not me. That was very much not me.
Yeah, you were very opposite. Which probably leads to a little bit of, it just dawned on me, probably leads to a little bit of why you're so opposite. But anyway.
Potentially.
Except for some of the stories I've heard when you were children, on the playground with the watch.
There was...
The watch, so you could kiss the girls and the stack of tires.
Well, I'm not
saying... Yeah, I've heard the things. You were young.
Yeah,
you were a child.
For the record, my wife is the only woman I have ever slept with. Well, hold on. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, because you want to use the right word.
My wife is the only woman I have ever had sex with.
There we go. Thank you. Use the right word.
I have napped with. Yeah.
Previous girlfriends.
Like
as a teenager,
like
a
actually
girl
slept.
Yes,
no sex.
A girlfriend.
Actually slept.
Yes.
You're cuddled up on the couch and watching a movie and you pass out. It happens.
But there's...
Just saying.
Okay, bring you back. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes. And betrayal, and that's what I was saying, that natural reaction. We all have our way of letting it hit us or not. And depending on the depth of the relationship or even the depth of the hurt that we have to accept that our world is shaken and then figure out how to not become stuck in that and hyper focus and be paranoid and
Sure.
let the pain, you have to feel the pain, if acknowledge the pain, but not make that an excuse, if you want to back up to your last one, an excuse to behave in a certain way moving forward.
Sure. And at the same time, if someone stabs you in the back, you never have to let them be in a position where they can do it again.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I know I've been shanked. I got things sticking out of me. I'm very aware of that. Yes. But that is a very common, and their definition is within the context of a relationship as well. Like you were saying, there's somebody that you just know will have a certain personality and certain elements, and you don't look at like betrayal. And then there's the other person that's rock solid in a certain way, and then suddenly when they are not, and it's manipulative or just harsh in another way.
Oh yeah,
that's a different reaction. Yes, that warrants a different reaction.
Often.
Yes, on the same page with you on that one.
Cool.
You thought I'd just be all disagreeable.
Can be. I mean,
No.
it's more entertaining.
You got a couple more.
It's more entertaining. Oh, there's a bunch more. Okay, number 12. Okay. A person's actions are a reflection of their character, not the actions of others.
Oh, wait, say that again?
A person's action... Try that again. A person's actions are a reflection of their character, not the actions of others.
Okay, explain.
It kind of correlates with the there's always a reason, but there's never an excuse. If you behave in a certain way that is we'll be very general, I guess, but morally questionable, that's because you did something morally questionable, not because someone around you made you feel bad. They did something wrong, so you did something bad back to them.
I could take that down a further hole, but I won't.
Sure.
I get what you're saying in general.
He cheated on me, so I cheated on him too. That's like, no, you cheated. It's like, there's a reason, but that's not an excuse. You did that because you've got... I have to question your character. If that your response to somebody doing something poorly to you is you doing something poorly to somebody else. It's like, that's...
Again, pretty common.
Their actions reflect their character just as much as your actions reflect yours.
Yes.
That's a different way of saying that. Maybe it's a better way of saying it. I might have to rewrite that.
Okay, I see a revision coming. But no, I don't disagree. There could be a lot more elaboration.
Sure.
But I know for time's sake, I won't. And I know it's just general.
Yeah,
I understand that's your point.
This is general rules. There's always permutations and exceptions and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
yes,
at the core, the concept holds true.
Yes.
So, anyway, moving on. Lucky number 13. And this one is so... it's cliche. It's a cliche statement.
No.
It's a cliche, semi-new agey kind of statement. Unfortunately, just because it sounds that way doesn't mean it's still not true. Okay.
Thanks for the warning.
So, anyway, happiness is a matter of attitude, not feeling.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of biblical tone there too.
There is. It's, and I'm not saying. And again, there's being happy and feeling happy. It's kind of like loving someone and being in love with someone. Those are different things.
Yes, they are different things.
We can choose our attitude. And this one, quite literally, I think we talked about her before, but there was a woman we knew when we still lived up north, stomach or esophageal cancer. I forget the exact specifics, throat cancer, something like that. And she was literally dying, slowly starving to death. Couldn't swallow. She subsisted for weeks, longer than they expected her to, on the small amount of popsicle that would dribble down her throat. It's like she couldn't swallow, so she'd break out a popsicle, moisten her mouth with it, and what little bit got in her, that was her fuel. And she was the most calm, peaceful, joyful person in that moment. She was dying and made a point of telling everybody that she could that she was good and that they're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That drove home the idea that it's a matter of decision. You choose. Sometimes it's a really hard choice. She chose to bring joy and peace to people's lives. As her dying act, she chose to bring joy and peace and love into people's lives. She chose to be happy despite her circumstances. And so whenever I start getting really mentally, I try and remember, like, yeah, you know what?
It is a choice.
I'm not slowly starving to death. It's like I'm not in the midst of something that horrific. I can do better. And, yeah, it might be an act. I might be faking it until it becomes reality. But what we manifest, our actions become our reality.
That is also true.
That could be another one.
Oh, my goodness.
It's not on the list. Anyway, just saying.
And again, I could say much, much more. But yes, yep.
Yep.
Especially in the biblical side of it.
Sure.
It's not about how you feel. It's not saying that's easy. There's no formula. It's not linear. It's not that you're going to have these very fleshy human moments where you are not happy.
Yeah.
But
we're
how
not talking
we are,
about moments.
it's the choice.
Well, it's not moments. It's
when you're going through something, you're going to have moments.
Oh yeah. Well,
but that doesn't mean you're not. You don't have. I'm sure she had moments.
Oh yeah, I have
of intense emotion about the loss and missing and fear and things. But
yes,
overall, that wasn't the overarching.
No. Well, I'm got a mental picture of a boat, a sailboat on the ocean, middle of the water. No land in sight, and your course is, due east. The wind's going to blow, and you're going to get blown off course slightly, and you're going to bob on the waves, and things are going to. But you still can correct and put yourself back on due east. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you're not having moments where you're pointing the wrong way, or you're slightly off kilter. It's the overall journey, not the moment in time, not the snapshot.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was my 2 cents on that one. And I did mention in the first one that was where necessary, I would go into detail on where these kind of came from or what solidified them.
Yes.
That was one of them. This is one number 14 is one I have told my daughters and a lot of other people many, many, many times throughout my life and throughout their lives. So number 14, feelings are like a faulty GPS. Let it guide, but always have the mind drive.
Okay. Yes, you have said variations of that.
Well, and I say that because emotions are excruciatingly inconsistent and variable. And easily manipulated.
Dictated by so many things.
And often wrong in so many ways. partially because the mind the eyes see, the mind interprets, and the feelings react. And if your interpretation is wrong, then your feelings are going to be based off of misapprehension, resulting in feelings that are incorrect for the situation.
So we try to have a focus on communicating.
Or
having just the right frame anyway, even from a biblical standpoint.
7 habits. It's like seek first to understand. It's like dig deeper than the surface. Well, and like I've told them, it's like you have feelings about things. You have feelings about people. You have feelings for people. And those are wonderful things to have. They can often be wonderful guides. But they can also be easily mistaken. You can misunderstand what you're feeling. Or the feelings themselves can be getting fed by a misunderstanding. And you still have to make a conscious decision to act. Don't act purely off of feelings. Let your feelings temper what's going on. Well, prime example, I guess, is if you let your feelings drive, then I would punt at least two or three people a day into the ditch on the road, because that's what I feel like doing. That feeling, it's like, you didn't use your blinker. Here, oh, keep going in that direction. Why don't you?
You just sound like a horrible person. You paint yourself just to be so
I don't,
terrible.
That's
like, man, you exaggerate.
But you do get no. I feel I have that urge almost daily. Anyway,
you need more than I think you do.
But I don't, because I don't let my feelings drive. My mind drives. It's like, yeah, that dude just irritated me. I kind of would like to see that happen. I'm not going to do it. It would be bad if that actually happened, but what my feelings are informing is the wrong action. It's like, yeah, that guy, gal, whoever that person is in that vehicle, it's like, I don't know what's going on with their day. I don't know why they're driving like that. Is it something bad happening in their life right now and they're not thinking? I have no clue. I don't understand. But my feeling is, this is what you just did to me, and I want to punch you into the ditch.
Which
you don't let that drive. Now, you could overhear, misunderstand every Hallmark movie. What's that term? It's like 15 minutes before the end.
Moment of despair.
The moment of despair. Thank you very much. For some reason I was thinking moment of crisis. Almost every Hallmark movie is predicated on the idea that they have a huge emotional reaction to a misheard conversation. Almost every time they have a part of the information, but not the whole thing. And they freak out and they run away, and then the person that they misunderstood has to show up and make everything better. That's kind of, that moment of despair is predicated on the concept of letting my feelings are driving in that moment. And I'm not saying there isn't necessarily a time and place for that, but it's very small amounts of time that you should ever let your feelings completely drive. I mean, if we're having a romantic dinner, or just sitting back having a romantic moment, by all means, let's let feelings just take us where they're going to take us, when we're in a place where that's appropriate. And there's nothing wrong with that in the proper time, in the proper context. But that's a very small portion of the time. The rest of the time, your feelings are going to be what they are. And you need to look at those feelings and go, is this going to be, if I follow that, is that going to be a good choice?
I feel like this is a variation on I think some of yours are just kind of,
there are variations on a theme.
They're like the same, but a little different. Like you were just talking about the cheating. You cheat on me, so I'm going to cheat on you. So you're saying, I mean, that's a feelings-driven reaction. So that you're just following it up with something that's a little bit more detailed.
There's always a reason, but there's never an excuse.
Yes, I'm following your theme.
It's like you can't excuse bad behavior, but there's always a reason for it. If you understand the reason and deal with the reason, then you get rid of the behavior. Sometimes. Some people just want their bad behavior. Anyway. This one's more relational.
What number?
This one's number 15. Struggle can drive you apart or together, and it's always your choice.
Yeah.
And that's a plural your, not an individual your. So one of the long-standing historical purposes of marriage was to survive, was to back each other up and survive. To, because life's trying to kill you. And you can use bad things happen. And thank God I haven't experienced many of the things that can happen. But if you look statistically, one of the things that is a gigantic precursor to marriages falling apart is the death of a child. I don't wish that on anybody. I can't imagine.
We walked the cemetery this morning, and there were fresh graves for children.
Yeah, which is... it's horrific. I can't believe. I can't imagine. In all honesty, I can't imagine. My heart goes out to anybody dealing with that. And often the instinct is to withdraw into yourself. And when two people draw into themselves, they put up a wall between each other, and they can't help each other through it. They have to help. They survive on their own, and then they keep moving on their own. The idea of marriage was so when bad things happen, things like that. The ultimate ideal of marriage is about we're going through this together. And on the other side of it, you're better. Your relationship is better and stronger because instead of building a wall between you, you built connections between each other. You've struggled together, you've grieved together, you've cried together, and you've survived. Now, the second biggest indicator was loss of a job, loss of primary income, if I remember correctly, which we've been through.
We have. A few times.
And it was not a good time. It was tough. It was a struggle. And we could have allowed that to drive us apart. Instead, we figured it out together. We got through it together. But in order for that to work, we both had to be in that place where we're going to figure this out. If one person huddles up and the other one's trying to connect, it's not going to work. It was this is unrelated, a friend of ours many years ago, their marriage fell apart. And they said what I still consider to be one of the dumbest things I think I've ever heard another human being say. And it takes two people to make a marriage fail. No, it takes two people to make a marriage work. It only takes one person hell-bent on making their marriage fall apart to guarantee it happens. Just saying. That's a side note. Just saying.
I can't speak into that one because we've known a lot of people that have gotten divorced. And they were all ugly in their own ways. I can't think of one that was genuinely amicable and didn't have some horrible layer of ugly.
Nope. No, and which, to be honest, as it should be.
Well, fair enough. I mean, there is. I don't know personally, but you hear about or you talk with somebody that you like, that they'll just say, "Oh, we just didn't love each other anymore, and we just decided to be done," and then they just go their separate ways. That's rare.
Mm-hmm. And that also means that you were never actually connected to them in the first place in more than name.
What is the average now? 19 years?
Something like that. Just long enough for the kids to graduate high school.
Hey, sweetie. We beat the average.
Yeah, we beat the average. And both of our kids graduated.
Yeah.
And we're still going.
Go figure.
In fact, we're planning on more stuff together.
Well, I thought we were supposed to.
We're not doing a lot. I mean, let's be fair. We're still at the beginning of you starting up your practice and all. It's not like we have crazy amounts of free time and extra cash laying around for us to go do silly stuff. But we're making plans on just doing stuff together as us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our kids are old enough to where Like, you stay home and watch the dog. We're going. See you later. And we're doing family stuff too, but it's like
it's not about placating and
no, it's yeah. Anyway,
that's another thing.
It's another
okay.
Conversation for another time. We'll probably do an episode about that too. At some
sure.
point. Just what do you? Well, it was like it's not empty nest because they both still live here, but that next phase, the post high school phase.
Oh yeah, like the post.
Yeah.
It's not raising your kids because you're not. You're responsible for many things and you're still guiding them, but
sure.
It is a different phase.
It is a very different phase. It's a good phase. It's a weird phase. Still figuring it out.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. This one's, I guess, is a little more philosophical.
Oh man.
What? Okay, 16. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is selfishness. You cannot love something. You cannot love someone and act selfish around them, towards them. It doesn't.
I'll even tell you that you can't say you genuinely care about something and still not take into account different aspects.
Sure.
I'll go so far as to say that.
Now, in a very broad sense of there are many different forms of love. Specifically, there's many classifications.
Yeah.
There's is it Latin? I believe Latin. But there, agape love.
I don't know if that's Latin. It's like agape and eros and
yes, and
filio.
Agape is a godlike love, and that's you love humanity, you love your country. It doesn't mean that there isn't aspects. It's like you care about other people. You would be willing to sacrifice to an extent for your country, for the people in general. It's an overarching compassion and caring about humanity. We're not necessarily talking about that. The most selfish people on the planet still have certain aspects of that. And eros is romantic.
That's romantic.
It's romantic, but there's like the connotation of like sexual love, almost hormonally driven, I guess. And there's brotherly love and
Filio?
phileo.
Is that like more the intimate, friendship?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's familiar. It's
yes.
Friend and family. What I'm talking about is the concept of love as a commitment and dedication to the betterment of another human being.
Okay. Can you repeat your idiom again?
Sure.
Please.
The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is selfishness. Now, in order for a marriage to work, really, I mean, other than just blatant stubbornness, which if you got two people who are just stubborn enough to go, yeah, we're not getting divorced. And I know that couple. I know that couple. The only reason they are still married for the last 20 years is because she said, I'm not going to be a divorced woman. It's not going to happen. I'm not signing that. I will fight you in court to keep this marriage together if I have to. That's not going to happen. We're going to figure this out. And they stayed married at that point out of spite. I question...
I got some respect for that.
I do. I question, to an extent, the health of that marriage. And they've been married a long time. I do question it, but at the same time...
I can't speak into what I don't know anything about.
Sure. Like that's their thing, and I'm not talking about them. But if you have two people who are dedicated to the betterment of the other, then like ideally I want what is absolutely best for you in the best possible way. Whether that's health, food, education, housing, the car that you drive, the clothes that you wear, how you present yourself. I want the absolute best for you. Period. And that looks different for everybody. And the person that is receiving that is also giving that. I want the absolute best for you, and I want you to be the best version of you, and I'm encouraging you and giving you the strength and the backup to pursue that. You have two people who are dedicated to the betterment of the other. That is love, reciprocated. Selfishness is, it's about me. If you got love flowing in two different directions, to and from, you're feeding each other, supporting each other, backing each other up, making each other stronger and better. If one person is only receiving, the other person ends up empty and the whole thing starts to fall apart.
So communication is the biggest breakdown of all of that.
Well, and it isn't, I don't know if it's, communication is very important. Because you don't want to be, if you believe, I'm going to use this as an example, but it doesn't mean anything. It's like, if I think the absolute best thing for you is a T-bone steak every day for dinner, and I try to give you a T-bone steak every day for dinner, and you can't eat, if you can't eat bovine products without feeling like crap, and I still keep doing that because I don't know better, because to me, that's love, And then, yes, that level of communication is necessary. Because you need to make sure that you're feeding what needs to be fed.
Well, yes.
But I think in some ways it's not just about communicating, it's doing. It's, okay, you're having a bad day. Okay, what do you need from me? Or maybe I don't need anything. Maybe I just walk up and I put my head in your shoulder and I give you a great big hug and I don't let go for a while, and you just stand there and go, okay, I guess this is what we are now. Because sometimes that's what I need.
Actions speak louder than words.
It's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm doing stuff, but you know what? This stuff right here is not more important than you are right now. And okay, we're going to do that. So yes, communication is key, but it's letting go of that. There's nothing wrong with that little bit of selfishness, I guess. It's like
we all have it.
Well, and I think it's healthy, because you can't, I can't feed you everything that you need, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to do for your own. But part of that selflessness in the conversation is giving you the freedom to take that moment to be selfish. That for me, it might be going to Chinese. It's like that. You're not going to enjoy that.
No, not typically.
Because you can't find anything to eat. But I need this right now. Can we go do Chinese? It's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Now, if I do that all the time, that's something else entirely. But in that once in a moment, it's like, I just need this. I just need this minute. It's like, well, I've got my 3D printer running right now. The 3D printer was kind of a selfish thing, to be fair. But it was moment, it's like, it's not, if it was something that was going to be detrimental to us.
Oh, of course.
That's selfishness in its most harmful manner. I'm talking about that. It's like, okay, you bought yourself that candy bar for you, and you ate it in the car and didn't let me know. That's like, yeah, is that a selfish little thing? Yes, it is. Is that a harmful little thing that's going to hurt us? No. You just had that moment where I really want that chocolate peanut butter cup. It's like, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's like, I get gas, I get that soda. I don't get enough for the group. It's like, it's moments of selfishness that aren't harmful. But the primary understanding is my job, my responsibility, my heart is to make sure that you're taken care of. And I have to operate in the understanding that that's your goal as well. And then we figure out the details on how that plays out.
And it is communicating about need,
yes,
want, what is working, what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we had just said about like the selfishness with doing things for us.
Sure.
Appropriateness. That's what I mean with the communication. It's an ongoing dialogue.
Oh yeah, and it's always evolving, and it's always
not an assumption.
No.
I'm going to get pissed off because what I'm doing isn't what you need or want.
Yep.
It's an actual, like,
well, I had
as you were saying, give and take.
Well, we had a friend, and his thing was, I get her what she needs before she can ask for it. It's like, well, that's a great goal. But did you get her what she needs, or did you get her what you think she needs? Because those aren't the same thing.
Or what she,
They might,
needed or wanted a year ago.
They might be the same thing. And depending on, your understanding of each other, might be correct. But you're more likely than not correct. And I think that's where the real hard part is. It takes a level of selflessness to hear you've been messing up and then accepting it and changing.
Which is where I think the biggest breakdown is.
I think that's a huge, huge part of it. But again,
it's not. But when there is the break, it's not because it's not in the tone of that. This is a betterment for us. This is I'm going to take this personal because again, I wasn't doing enough, and it should have been because it's what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't what needed to be.
Yes.
And if you can't accept,
you're putting gas in a diesel, it didn't work out.
But if you can't have a conversation about it, then that's an issue.
Yes.
And that's in any relationship. It's not even just like a husband-wife. I mean, that's relationship.
That's relationship.
You're supposed to be able to let somebody know when you're hurt or there was a mess up.
And there's a reason why it's that was left very general. Because it's every relationship to a degree. And I'm not saying that every relationship has it doesn't have all the forms of love. It's like,
no, I understand.
But any form of love, there is an aspect of selflessness required. And it's like I don't love my work. I don't emotionally love work. I don't emotionally love my bosses. But they're people. And that overarching, I care about people. And I do. I want what's best for them in their lives. I want what's best for the company in everybody's life. So you have to be able to selflessly take that criticism and selflessly do what needs to be done. So it rolls out to every type of relationship out there to an extent. And depending on the level of that relationship, the level of selflessness required, and the amount of selfishness that it can survive varies. But it's still there. The fundamental concept is still more or less runs across the board.
I understand.
Just the sliders move.
Yes. Yep.
Anyway. Well, okay, and this one, actually, I kind of touched on it.
17.
Yes, 17. Love is the sacrifice of self for the benefit of another, when they deserve it, and especially when they don't.
Yes, it's definitely a piggyback.
It's definitely a piggyback. Well,
because it is about doing it, even it's not about deserve.
No. Well, and I had a pastor many years ago. It's like, if you really think about what you deserve, what you deserve is hellfire and damnation and an eternity of suffering separate from God. You deserve to be alone. You deserve to be in pain. You deserve anguish. That's what you deserve. Love has made sure that is not what you get.
Yes.
I deserve better. Actually, you don't. You've been graced with better. Now, what are you going to do with it? Now, I don't know if I want to take that as literally as that was stated, but that changes your mindset. If you really think, it's like, what do I deserve? What do you really deserve? Anyway, just saying. But, again, it's, well, like, we'll use us. It's like, you're going back to school for a master's. After your master's.
Well,
wait, hold on. It's like, just let me finish, and then you can comment. It's like, again, this isn't her first master's, because of some certification requirement changes in our state, made it so her first master's in counseling didn't qualify her for licensure. So she had to go back and get it again, but different. Okay.
And more.
her going back to school again was a sacrifice for for the family.
Yes.
And for you. I mean,
Yes.
not,
Yes, it was.
you know, but it was a sacrifice we willingly took on because it was for the betterment of you and us as a whole. Like, we were willing to take on, okay, it's a sacrifice. Yep. It's like the hours, the time, the miles, the papers, the things that couldn't be done because you had things you had to do for, like, those were all
and then
sacrificed.
working less.
Yes, and working less.
Yep.
But it was for the benefit of another.
Yes.
And as we are attached, the betterment of you is a betterment of us. So the sacrifices we all made are going to benefit all of us, but specifically it was sacrificing some of the stuff that we wanted to do now so that you could step up into a new level, a new layer, new profession. It was an example of loving you in the middle of what turned into a very trying time for everybody. Because of life, not because of just school. But and it doesn't fall into the because you deserve it or not. But that was like, could we have just said, no, we're not doing that? Like,
oh, sure, could have.
We could have.
That wasn't the calling, though.
But that wasn't, and it wouldn't have been what made our situation better.
Correct.
That was more just sometimes.
It was licensure regulations.
Yeah.
There's it was some bureaucratic things.
Yes. Stuff changed, and so
it wasn't.
Had to do it again.
I don't remember the math on it. It wasn't 48 credits. It was 60.
Yeah.
And
stuff changed.
And some extra hoops.
Yes.
That
we all jumped through. That's fine.
Yes, and you don't know what they're really going to look like until you get ready to do it.
No. But that's kind of tangential, I guess.
But there are too, when you don't know what it's going to look like, but you're willing to go through it.
Yes.
Because you know that's part of the package. I appreciate that's what you're explaining.
And I mean, that doesn't, and again, that doesn't fall into the second half of whether you deserve it or not. That was kind of, but sometimes you just got to sacrifice in the moment. And that's the definition of sacrifice is...
You do it regardless.
You do it because it's the best thing to do, whether you enjoy it or not. Most of the time, sacrifice hurts, and it costs you, and you don't enjoy it in the moment. And you just pray that the benefit comes in the future. Because even in the midst of all of it, you couldn't guarantee things were going to pan out. You just pray that they do. And
I mean, my goodness, we had enough obstacles. There were some questions.
Okay, well, let's do 18 because we're just over the hour mark now.
Well, how many more do you have?
I got a total of 25, so another 7 after this.
Okay, it's up to you.
So I guess we'll have to we do a.
We're gonna have a part 3.
Maybe.
All right.
I mean, well, we could just kind of to drive through and.
Okay.
Not.
This is your list of wisdom.
Well, yeah. I guess,
We've gone over before, so what was 18?
The bullet points. Anyway, commitment is not for the good times, it's for surviving the bad.
Well, we did just kind of...
We kind of covered that.
We've covered that.
That is traditionally been the point. It's, for centuries it was, husband and wife versus, the ground because we need to get food to come out of the ground. And husband and wife against famine and flood and drought and oncoming warlords and nobles that want your money and and disease. And it was the husband and wife come together as a team to survive. Because the bad times coming whether you like it or not, and it's way easier to get through it as a team than it is as two individuals. Because nobody's got your back. Just saying.
I hear you.
Yep. This one kind of goes into that one.
So 19?
Number 19. Forsaking all others means family, friends, kids, people you haven't met yet, and occasionally yourself when life demands it.
Yeah.
Again,
that's a difficult notion for people to wrap their head around.
Yes. If you read the biblical directives for marriage, it quite literally means a husband and wife separate from their families and create a new one. The old families don't exist anymore. It's nice when they do, but the husband and wife are now their own family. Period. And then everything that comes from that family is an offshoot of that relationship. So the kids are secondary to the husband and wife. Now there's a time and place for, especially small children. They take a majority of your attention because they need to, otherwise they die. Because, they're ignorant and they don't know that fire is bad and that, life. Life is trying to kill your children, and they become your focus, but they aren't the focus. If the marriage relationship, there's a reason why so many marriages end at 17 years. It's like, kids are out of high school and I don't need you anymore. It's like, well, that means you were married for the kids and not for each other. So if you're married for each other, the kids come as a consequence, and when the kids leave, you get your partner back 100% again. You don't have to share. That's the idea. And then sometimes it's like, okay, if my mom wanted me to do something that I had to choose between her and you, guess what? She loses because I made that decision. If your parents needed you to choose between them and me, it's like it's like, you committed to me. It's like that decision's already made.
That's how that went.
I said before, when you make a decision, when you actually make a decision, 1,000 decisions are made for you, 1,000 small ones. Oh, you're trying to get between me and my wife. Whether it's people, jobs, TV, whatever your thing is. If it gets between you and your relationship with your spouse, forsaking all others means that too. If you need to forsake that, you get rid of it. If I'm looking at my wife. If my wife says, you know what, when you do this, it really hurts me, and I don't make that thing disappear, it means I chose that thing over her.
Yes, in the most basic sense.
It's like, we can't do that. Now, I might screw up. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I am far from perfect. But if put in that position, that's the decision I know I need to make. Even if I don't want to. Again, sacrifice of self for the benefit of another. See how these all feed into each other? Anyway.
Yes.
Is another one that's come up recently in our lives. Number 20. If you feel you need to hide it, you already know you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that one.
We have talked about that one a bunch. I don't know if we need to get into that anymore. But yeah, keep that in mind. If you feel like you need to hide it, there's a reason why my wife and my kids have the password to my phone and can access it anytime it's sitting there, which my daughter
Pretty much anything. Yeah, actually, any electronic.
Yeah, they all have the same password. All my stuff has the same password. They all know it. And they're all welcome to pick it up at any time. I don't care. I've got nothing to hide in there. Other than, gift shopping lists and things like that. I'd rather you didn't look at those. Here's another fun one. 21. Expecting to find happiness from external things is like expecting someone else's eating to make you full.
Ooh. Very flowery.
Sure.
Got it.
I have my moments. I'm kind of a blunt instrument most of the time, but I have my moments. And I think that one it's like, some people, they have kids to make their life whole, or they get into relationships to make themselves feel whole. If you're not whole to start with, that's only going to make the whole seem bigger.
100%. Yes, I can agree.
And now, I'm not saying you might not need somebody in your life to help.
We're not talking about relationship, like fellowship, and
no,
it's not.
But if you're looking for something else to make you happy, it's like millionaires have an astronomically high suicide rate, and drug addiction rate, and divorce rates. It's because, if I make this much money, I'll be happy. And then they get that much money and they're not happy. Well, maybe if I get this car. or if I get this famous, or I marry this kind of woman, or I have this kind of house, I'll be happy. And then they get it all, and they're still miserable. It's because it was never about the stuff. You have to find that thing that you have to choose to be happy and find a way to make that happen. And then all that other stuff just kind of, it's like frosting on a cake. It makes it better, but the frosting doesn't make the cake, despite what my wife might tell you.
I just eat the frosting, baby.
You just like the frost, and that's cool. It's
a true story.
I typically prefer the cake, so we work out good. Anyway, this one is one that people don't like to swallow.
What number?
22. Your present is the culmination of all your decisions in the past. Your future will be the culmination of all the decisions you make now. What it is and always has been is up to you.
Another deep one, but very accurate.
Like, if you don't, it's another way of saying, if you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you've always got. If you don't like where you are, you're where you are because of the twists and turns that you've taken in your life. If you don't like where you're at, do something different. Go to school. Give up drinking. Exercise more. Hang out with new people. Get a hobby that you didn't have before. Find something that stretches you. Read more. Do something different, and let that something different put you on a new path to somewhere where you want to be instead of where you are.
I know. Okay. We make it hard. And there's a whole lot to it.
It's way easier to stay on the path that you're already on.
I mean,
but if you really don't like where you're at,
it is about just making choices.
That isn't saying that
if you have trouble with those choices, then that's when you seek the guidance to get through, make those decisions.
I happen to know one. Anyway, that isn't to negate the fact that things happen to you in your life. Sometimes you are a victim of things. But where you go after that, that's on you. You can choose to make a change. And if you can't, find someone that can help you see where you can. That's not an accusation. That's not a... It's like there's help out there. There's people that want to help you find them. There's a lot of them out there. Anyway, this one I use at work a lot.
23?
Number 23. If you're not mature enough to own your mistakes, you have not earned the right to claim your success. I tell coworkers often, if you goof up and you just come to me and say, hey, I goofed up and this isn't working now, I will go out there and I will do what I can to make sure that nobody knows that you goofed except you, him or her, and I. Because they owned it. Now, if I don't know what happened, it was fine. It's like, well, let's see. Those wires are crushed and there's a mark on the crane that matches the paint on this damaged section of the robot. I know what happened. You goofed. I don't know what happened. Yes, you do. Oh, I will do everything I can to rake you over the coals. The world will know how badly you just messed up.
Wow.
Simply because they're immature and they're hiding it. It's like, if you come to me and say, I really goofed up, if I can, I will make that as smooth as humanly possible. If I got to use parts, or if the machine's going to be down for an excessive period of time, we have to document that. But
for time's sake, we're not going to dive highly into the public humiliation aspect of what you just described.
It's not public. It's not like the world knows. I mean, I'm kind of a little hyperbole there, but it's going to be well documented that you goofed specifically. If you goofed, and it's like, I don't care. Yeah, there's been some guys have come to me and go, I just did something royally stupid. I'm like, okay, what'd you do? It's like, I did this, this, and this, and this is all crapped out now. Like, okay, let's grab my tools and let's go take a look at it. If I can fix the issue with as little drama as possible, then we're going to fix the issue. It's like, okay, you know what you did wrong? Yeah. Are you ever going to do it again? Nope. Okay. Own it. If you own your mistakes, because all of your success is built off of all the things you screwed up for in the past. Own it. You own it. I will never have it. It's like, well, it's like, hey, I got a promotion. It's like, you got a promotion. Really? You got a promotion after costing the company hundreds of thousands of dollars in repairs that you kind of kept sweeping under the rug. And it's like, I don't know what happened. And now you got promoted? Oh, I'm going to make sure everybody knows. It's like, oh, well, remember this, and this. That was all him. Why are you promoting him?
Yikes. Again, for time's sake, we're not going to.
Well, it's...
I understand what you're saying. I think you're just... You got a passion that just snapped up.
I have no problem with somebody goofing up and owning it. None. And it's not just me. It's like if your success.
You don't like that people try to flower it up or lie.
Don't lie.
To try to get away with
it's
and look better or not.
I am good at what I do, and I tell people all the time, I'm good at what I do because I've messed up more than you have. And for some people, that's a punch. Okay, I've messed up more than you, but every step along the way is like, I goofed. How do I fix this? So now I don't goof. I still do. I mean, yeah, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying.
Sure.
So I still goof, but my goofs are different. But it was the reason that I'm successful now is because I goofed up and I owned it and I dealt with it. Everybody that's successful has messed up a lot. The people who are stuck where they are people that refuse to acknowledge the fact that they've goofed up. They don't own it. And the occasions where people who have made everybody else the bad guy and got promoted need to be called on it. And it does happen.
I feel like this is a work-related thing.
It's not just a work-related thing. It is the example is coming through.
It's your idiom, so I respect that's your idiom. Thank you for that explanation.
And
I think there's a lot.
Again, with the girls,
lot more that could be talked about that.
With the girls growing up, I told them all the time, it's like, I don't care if you mess up. I care if you lie to me.
That's true. We both said that.
If you did something wrong, you're going to get in trouble.
I mean, I think anybody that has a relationship with me knows that.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I always told them, you do something wrong and you own, you tell me, yeah, you might get in trouble for doing something wrong. But if you do something wrong, don't tell me and lie about it. You're going to get hammered 10 times as bad. I'm going to make you very unhappy.
Oh my goodness, so much going on there.
Because I want them to be honest. Not just with me, but with themselves.
Yes.
It's okay to goof up.
Yeah.
I mean, and they did. They made their mistakes. They goofed things up. But they never got in trouble for a legitimate mistake.
You would get in trouble for the mistake. You would get in trouble for lying.
Poor choices that they knew better.
That would have been our younger one.
But
anyway.
Mostly.
Yes.
Anyway. Okay, number 24. We'll do this one quick. Hurting yourself for your future is discipline. Hurting another one... let me say this. Back it up. Because I'm stumbling over myself. Because I'm trying to be in a hurry. Because we've only got...
we're fine. It's our episode. We just don't want to go long.
We're like hour 20 right now. Anyway, number 24. Hurting yourself for your future is discipline. Hurting another for your present is cowardice.
Yes, we've talked about that one.
It's like, I can screw you over and get ahead. You're a coward.
Yes.
Now, it's like working out. It hurts. It sucks. It's dirty. It's sweaty. It's not fun. And those weights are so heavy. It's like, okay, I'm not going to, it's like, I'm not going to buy, I'm not going to buy this, and this, so I can save that money for later. And you invest it, or, you put it away. It's like, you can have the 100 little nice things, or you can wait a year not having all those little nice things and get that one really big nice thing that makes all those other things pale in comparison. That's discipline. Working out when you don't feel like working out is discipline. That's what you sacrifice your moment now for an improved future.
I still have a semblance of it, yes.
If I do this to you, I can get ahead right now. You're a coward. And you're lazy. And I have no sympathy for when bad comes back to you at all.
We could talk about this one for a minute too.
Yeah.
But we won't.
It's like, I don't really believe in karma, but at the same time, what you sow, so shall you reap is a biblical concept.
There's that one.
That mirrors karma. Mm-hmm. Like, what you put out, what you sow, you will reap. Anyway. And my last one, which is kind of divisive, I guess, but number 25, pride is not a virtue. It's a vice. And see, one of the reasons I have issue with the, all of the, it's like, well, people are proud of things that had nothing to do with. Your skin color is a certain way. Your nationality is a certain way. The language you speak is a certain way. I'm proud. I'm a proud white American. What are you proud of? You didn't do anything to achieve any of that.
You're just born.
You were just born. You were born with your skin color. You were born in the country you were in. You're taught by your
I know some of these concepts aren't popular, so
yeah.
I apologize now for offending anyone.
But
to a degree. I'll apologize to a degree.
Sure. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Uncle Iroh. Man, that character is interesting. And one of the... and I'm going to paraphrase. Philosophically paraphrase. He was talking to his nephew, who was full of shame over his past and things that he's done, and he needs to get his pride back. And his uncle is like, pride is not the cure to shame. Pride is its cause. Humility is what brings you forward. The last of you shall be first.
Yes.
The least of you shall be the greatest.
Yes.
And humility isn't tiny little...
Genuine humility.
Genuine humility is, I know what I can do. I know what I am capable of. And I'm humble enough to not throw it in your face. I'm not going to, it's like, the idea is, kind of along the lines of, it's like you're a multimillionaire and you're wearing Levi jeans and some beat up Converse All-Stars and a t-shirt and driving an old Toyota Corolla with 300,000 miles on it, and you're just a normal dude hanging out with your buddies, and nobody knows you have money, and you're just you. You don't put on airs. You're not full of yourself. You're not. It's like that would be pride. It's like the guys that are driving $100,000 cars and living in 30-year-old trailers with a big hole in the roof. It's like you're doing that to impress people. You want them to be. You're showing off, and you're hurting yourself in the process. Most of the time, pride comes before the fall. It's because humility prepares you for the bad things. Pride makes you fragile. And often people are proud of things, they express pride in things that quite frankly are toxic. Or they're proud of things that they had. It's like, you got dealt a great hand. Why are you proud?
They don't know any different.
Well, people have been BS'd into thinking that it's a good thing. It's like, no. Like,
that's also true.
Pride is not a good thing. Pride in and of itself is not a good thing. Pride is painful. Pride causes grief. It's the problem, not the solution, in most cases.
And again, we could go pretty deep on that one, but...
Yes, we could.
We're just talking about your list.
And we want to get deeper. Uncle Iroh. YouTube. Uncle Iroh.
Uncle Iroh.
From Avatar.
Yeah. Avatar: Last Airbender.
Yes. He was very well written. Just saying.
We did apologize that this went a little long. I know we try to keep it, around an hour-ish, but, he got his list in 2 parts, and again, we could have discussed several of them more, and some of them overlapped very much, but...
Well, and like I said...
This is your gift, and you have to discuss your wisdom.
Sure. Things have kept me out of too much trouble.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Is there anything else you want to share before we end?
People have comments, questions. They want clarity on a point, or they want to say you want to say I'm an arrogant jerk. You can do that too. Send me an email. I'm good. I don't care. I'm good. You can criticize. I'm okay with that. Open the door. Feel free. Because again, if I'm wrong, You show me where I'm wrong. I will humbly admit I'm wrong. You know what? You changed my mind. Be that person. By all means. Bring it. I welcome it.
Okay.
It does happen.
It does. It does.
Well,
thank you for adding that.
My thoughts have been, have evolved over the years into where they are currently. And bring me new information. I will adapt and move on happily. Anyway, I hope it was fun for everybody.
Yeah. You get through your list.
You made it through the list.
Spark some of the
Now
other conversations.
Do the next 3 pages. I have to write them down.
Yeah.
Have to correlate and figure it all out. Put it actual words. Anyway.
Share your wisdom. Okay. Yes. So as we end today.
I'm Fix It.
I'm Feel It.
We hope you join us in the future.
Until next week.
Have a great one.